Hello and welcome to the Recruit Rockstars podcast, where we focus on the people part of your business. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I interview a world-class expert on talent and recruiting and scaling so that you can do the same. Whether your business is venture capital backed, private equity backed, maybe you've bootstrapped it from scratch. Lo and behold, that's possible too. You're going to get a ton out of the next 20 minutes with my guest, Brandon McCarty. Now, Brandon McCarty is the CEO, the co-founder of Curemint. It's an awesome name. You'll understand why in a minute. There's kind of a double entendre. And he is based in Raleigh-Durham area, North Carolina, beautiful part of the country where he's building a vertically oriented SaaS company in the dental space of all spaces. He's also served as a entrepreneurial finance professor at Pepperdine School of Business. He's been co-founder of businesses before. So he has seen this movie before, but here he is to tell us about Curemint. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Awesome to have you on. So why don't we just start with kind of the 60-second overview of Curemint, kind of what it is and why you decided to start it.
Yeah, so Curemint is a play on words for procurement. And, really the crux of it is here. We want to bring visibility, control, and efficiency to getting products that you need to run your business. And particularly what we found was we wanted to build something that was really easy to use, and we removed a very complex sales process that typically is associated with procurement software. And to do that, we felt like we needed to be industry specific on our platform because there's a lot of customizations, products, a lot of nuances there. And so we felt that if we built something that was oriented for a particular industry, we'd be able to remove some of the complexity and build something that's can be accessible to any size business and scale efficiently. So that's really, Curemint is a procurement software, brings visibility, control, efficiency to dental organizations.
And your target customer, I assume, are kind of individual dental practices across the country?
Actually, one of the unique things in the dental space is it's actually going through a pretty aggressive consolidation where private equity and other investment groups are actually consolidating dental offices into groups because there's a tremendous amount of opportunity to bring efficiencies through the way that those types of businesses are ran. So really our market is the emerging dental support organizations, where anywhere from 5 locations to hundreds of locations, and we are trying to centralize all of the individual offices under that corporate umbrella to be more efficient. And in addition to that, what's cool is we have actually found by doing that solo offices also find value in our software and that things that they necessarily didn't have before. But really the idea of Curemint came through solving multi-location enterprises.
So I got to ask you, you were not a dentist before, I don't think.
No.
What led you to pick this particular vertical of all the verticals that you could have chosen?
Yeah, it was kind of more around, what was my motivation. And so before Curemint, I ran a consulting firm that specialized in nonprofits. We did consulting, we did marketing and fundraising for nonprofits. And what I found was it's really hard to scale yourself. And I really wanted to get into a place where I could build a technology system that would solve problems without humans really having to do it. I have a really big passion around the software. And I just ran across, I was in business school, I was getting my MBA, and the industry itself, one of the classmates was in the industry, brought up the market changes, and there was a clear opportunity and problem here. And I looked at it, and I didn't really care what the industry was or really any of that stuff. It was more about just the idea of bringing technology that brings efficiencies to people's life and something that could scale. And then I found that it's really cool that it's a niche space. A lot of people don't know about it. And so we just kind of went through it and said, let's improve the lives of this particular customer base, and let's build awesome technology. And it just happened to be in dental. And
you're really focused on the procurement aspect of it. You're not building a SaaS to run the whole dental practice.
Correct. It's just it's the idea of for a practice, I need supplies to serve my patient. How do I get the right thing at the right time, at the right price every time?
Totally get it. Okay. Now, with all that context, Brandon, let's shift to the people part of the business. So
yeah,
in the pre-interview, you told me kind of something pretty remarkable, which is a year ago, it's just you in Los Angeles. And now, 12 months later, it's 15 folks in Raleigh-Durham area, North Carolina. Let's walk through that transition because that's pretty remarkable. So first of all, why move from LA to the East Coast?
Yeah, so Curemint was actually founded 3 years ago. The first 2 years was really a struggle in making sure we had the right people to build technology. So my background isn't technology. I don't code. I'm a business person. I can do sales, really everything besides coding. So our initial problem here was that we knew the problem, we knew the market, we knew everything to do, but executing the technology. And so it really slowed us down, that ability to do it. And so last year, early 2019, we kind of needed to make a move for our company. And so I decided that to get the talent that I wanted, I felt like Los Angeles wasn't the best place for me personally. And it was around really two pieces for me. It was around how do I access talent in an affordable way without and be kind of a unicorn in an area of opportunity, and two, for a quality of life and something that I wanted to be around and raise my family was really the two main factors. And so we did a kind of a recruitment process and looking at different communities. Really, it was quality of life was one criteria. Two was where is there a tremendous amount of talent that would love an exciting startup to be involved in. And so we looked at, Denver, Austin, Texas, and Nashville, and then in the Raleigh-Durham area. And we ultimately picked Raleigh because the quality of life is phenomenal, schools, all that stuff for my family personally, and also the research triangle of home to over 5 universities, Duke, North Carolina, and NC State. And we felt like if we brought an awesome technology company there weren't a lot of competition there. And so we had a really cool crop of people to excite the community. And that's where I wanted to move the company.
And I suppose at the same time, you probably asked yourself, should you stay in LA and create a virtual company, right? Just hire people remotely. Just walk us through what led to your decision, because right now, even before COVID, building a remote virtual team was kind of all the rage, and you kind of went counter to that. I'm just kind of curious for the rationale.
When I first started in my first company, we actually were virtual. We were half our team was on the East Coast in Washington, D.C., and the rest was in Los Angeles. And for me, what I found was, especially at the beginning of the company, when you're figuring out things, that I just found that being remote and virtual, there was so much knowledge being lost on the speed in which we were learning. The ability to communicate. It was like this constant thing where like, hey, let's get a Zoom meeting. Hey, let's get this, right? And there was such a thing of just being in the same room where natural ideas came. And so what I wanted to do was, I don't have anything against remote. I do think there's value, but I do believe, and from my perspective, there needs to be a foundation set where there's a core key of the company that are in unity and you have all your departments running together as one. And then when you have management in place, then you can start scaling virtually. So there's more process in place. But at the early stages, I found that we were really struggling with remote and that there needed to be a spontaneity of ideas and learning that happened into the place. So I knew that, and in addition to that, to your point, Jeff, that, I didn't want to live in LA personally, and that also affected, the company as well.
Yeah. Decision. So you pick up stakes, you move to the East Coast, by the way, Raleigh-Durham, gorgeous area of the country. If you haven't been there, you got to go. And now you're 15 people. So walk us through kind of how you get to a new place and find these great candidates. You must have somehow dug into the community there.
Yeah. So first thing I wanted to do, what attracted me to the Raleigh-Durham area was this pocket of startup community. And if you Google it, it's like, the area is like up and coming right behind Austin and excitement. And so I just wanted to be just in there. And I knew that if I shared what we were doing and there were the startup mentality type talent, that we would attract them immediately. And so the first thing I did is in the Durham area, there's an organization called the American Underground. And it's a local version of like a WeWork, but it's local and all the startups, and there's just a crop of people. They just live and breathe startups, and they all are part of that community. And so first thing I did is I moved the company here. I got a one office thing, and I just started working out of here. And then I posted my first things I needed to hire was customer success. We had some customers on our software and I needed help there. And so I posted on the thing, and obviously we just attracted people who were interested in startups. So I got my first 2 people to help with the support pieces. And then from there, the next hire was I needed to find someone that had technology background, and I needed to find a technical co-founder. And actually that person posted something in the community and looking for just, actually some freelance work. I found them, and then I proposed our idea, and it really motivated him to be a part of what we were doing. And so those were really the key pieces, is getting the success off my plate and then finding a technical founder. And then from there, it was just executing our plan, which we can do now.
Some of those hires took place before you raised the venture capital money earlier this year. How the heck do you convince a great talented individual to join a relatively risky, early, underfunded company?
Yeah. You know,
You must be
looking back on it, I don't really know how I did it. But if I look back, I think it's just people want to be a part of something that, you know, when you look back at your life and you go like, I did something that hardly anybody else could do, and that you've left a mark and an impact, particularly at an early stage. You know, that's why most entrepreneurs start their business. And it's really just communicating that exact message to other people who might not have the idea. They want the same outcome that you started the business for, but they don't have the idea. And so what you want to do is just share this opportunity where, like, hey, I know where I'm going. These are the things that I need. I think you are exactly what we need to do what you're good at, and let's come together and do something special. And that's really how you started off. And you have to paint a picture of, you know, here's the milestones. If you just do this, what you're really good at, this is the outcome that's going to happen. You have to be able to tell that story. But if you do that well, people will be willing, particularly if they understand what a startup is, they've been involved in them, or at least seen what that looks like. It's not really a hard sell. They just want to make sure that there's a clear path, and that the market makes sense, and then that the solution that we're building is there. And usually that's really exciting for them.
Did any of those 15 first hires come from other hires? In other words, friends of theirs, buddies of theirs, people they had worked with before? Or was this literally 15 strangers in a room?
So the community in Durham is pretty, we're not in Los Angeles. So it's not that, you know, a lot of these people do know each other in some capacity. But to start out with, it was people, actually a couple of people had moved here. So our first two hires, one had moved from Seattle. And then the second, and they were just like a month into, they actually moved there because their husband was going to Duke. And so they were just here looking for something. And the second one was someone who was in the restaurant industry that wanted to transition. So that's how initially we did it. Third person had a startup that they had done. They wanted to transition out of that, looking for new opportunities. And then I would say that from there, just being in the community, the word of mouth spreads when you have an exciting idea. And I wouldn't say, not necessarily that anybody had worked with each other previously, but I wouldn't say complete strangers.
Got it. You mentioned something interesting, Brandon, which was you kind of recruited or met a technical co-founder. So you're the business guy, business mind, right? Bright, shiny MBA. You teach at business school. You're obviously the sharp sales and marketing guy, not a coder, not a technical guy. Yeah. How did you go about finding a technical co-founder? That's almost like saying, I'm going to go out and find a spouse.
Yeah, it was funny because looking back, and I knew the odds were quite slim, but for whatever reason, I just felt like the story we had was really exciting. And if you first go after an engineer, especially, you know, a technical co-founder and you say, hey, we're doing dental procurement, they will just fall asleep or even not even listen to you.
Yeah, it's not very sexy.
No, it's not. But what I found was that what was very interesting is the complexity of the problem and the idea that the juggernauts that we would be going up against and the ability to do something that they can't do. That is the thing that excites the engineer piece, and particularly on a co-founder piece. I actually remember the conversation we had was, so Chris Rathgib is our technical co-founder, and you know, he was like, you know, hey, I want to build my own company. I want to do all of these types of things. And I told him, I was like, Chris, if Curemint doesn't work or whatever, I would, and I ever wanted to do this again, I would take 10 times out of 10 the current position Curemint's in than to start something from scratch. I said, the hardest part about a startup is what is the problem we're solving? What is the market? Who are the customers? And I go, all of that's done here. All you need to do when you come here is just execute the solution. And I go, that's what you're great at. And there was a green field of our technology. We had built something outsourced in India. It wasn't very good. It was actually really a hamper to us. It was good enough, but not very good. And I told him, I go, you have the world. You do whatever you need to do to solve this. You have the idea and the customers here. Just build a solution for them. And that was a really exciting opportunity for him. So
it's a really good reminder that it's not just about the money. It's not even just about the equity. For technical folks, I couldn't agree more. It is about the technical challenge. For Rockstars in general, what I've learned is it's about the challenge. The harder you make it sound, the more they kind of chomp at the bit to say, wow, I want to see if I can do that. They want to see if they can prove that they can do it. So of the 15 people that you've got now, Brandon, what's the mix of technical people, business people, et cetera?
yeah, we just have 5. So we have 4 full stack engineers, and then we just hired a head of product. So our innovation machine, what we call it, we have about 5 people handling product. There is 3 sales people, and then we have about 5 customer success people, and then we have an operation. So we actually just hired someone on to help with the people department of Curemint as we were scaling quite quickly. So that's pretty much our team.
I want to drill into that for a second. So you made a strategic decision. One of your first 15 hires was a head of talent or head of HR?
Technically, the title is head of operations, but the main thing that I wanted to be solved immediately was the head of people. And her background, like her name's Jessica Russell, her background was heading people operations for actually a startup in the Durham area as well before Curemint.
Obviously a big commitment for you to get that early. Most companies just wait too long. They wait till they have 50 people, 100 people. It's pretty hard to unscrew up a lot of the people decisions. I'm curious, what's the DNA of the place? So, you've gone from 1 to 15 people over the past year. You must have thought about, okay, what's the DNA of the talent that I'm looking for over and above skills and competencies? How would you describe it?
It's actually a really good question. When we first raised our venture capital in April, actually this year, our investors had said they saw our hiring plan, and obviously they understood why we were doing that. But one of the things they told me was, you have to be very careful. You're about to triple in size. And he's like, it's very easy to lose what made you guys successful to this point. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring on Jessica to help us there, was to make sure that that's not being lost, and I can still do the other things that my responsibility. So to me, the core of what Curemint's about is just first is this idea of wanting to tackle a problem, and also wanting to be a part of a team and unity around that. So biggest core here is that we are a team. We know that, and we actually rally to the idea that the odds are completely stacked against us. But we all relish in that, and it's a motivating factor. Anytime you can upset the juggernauts in the space, it's fun. And so there's just a lot of ambition in the company, trust, team, and accountability pieces. And we're all pretty self-motivated, and we're all team-oriented about going to solve the problem. That's pretty much the core of our company. And we always say, some of the main pieces is like passion and purpose. And then also one of the ones that I really love is this idea of success through others. So everything that we do, we measure our success as a person based off of how have we seen success in other people that we've supported, whether it's our customer base or our team itself. And that's how we drive this unity around team. And my background in sports and military, the team aspect is what makes this all fun. And you want to be a part of it. And so we've just tried to really build this idea of team, clear responsibilities of what you can do and put you in a position to succeed. And then we all come together to accomplish something bigger than ourselves.
I didn't mention in the intro, Brandon, that you've got some pretty heavy duty experience in the U.S. Army. We can't talk about it or we'll get in trouble legally, but you got top secret clearance and you led a team. And I have to imagine that really factored into this spirit of I've got your back, right?
Yes, and I would actually say, it really started for me is just sports. So played football before that, and just everything, in my young youth was just sports and the team and accomplishing things together and all the adversity that you feel, like all of that is ingrained, and it's something you just want to be a part of. And then the military is taking that times 10, and the idea of losing there is obviously significant ramifications of that. And so it was a much higher risk there, but the idea of it all is team. And that's when people ask, like, why do you start a business? And I go, there's nothing really more that you can do that's more oriented towards team than building a business and going towards something that you probably won't accomplish.
Right.
but going to trying to do that. And that's what it's all about, is the team and the camaraderie and adversity to fight through.
It's an interesting dichotomy, because you as the leader need to, in your head at the same time, carry this optimism that we can do it, but also this crazy recognition that the odds are against us and we probably won't do it, right? It's kind of can drive you crazy. Brandon, I give you a ton of credit. You're clearly a great entrepreneur who has scaled this thing from 1 to 15 people in about as many months, raised venture capital money. You're on your way. How can people learn more about Curemint or get in touch with you?
Yeah, to get in touch with me, LinkedIn's usually the best. So just add me there, send me a note. And then in terms of learning about Curemint, just go to our website, curemint.io. We actually do have a careers page in there as well. And all the information you need to know about the company is on our website.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for making the time today, Brandon.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.